you said here.
I can start again, but...
Yes. Number the Doubleday.
Doubleday, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Doubleday took the series and published it.
The Unconventional Builders.
Yeah. Doubleday took the series and published it in a coffee table book called The Unconventional Builders. If you want to see flights of wonderful fancy and imagination, I urge you to read that book. Not only is it wonderfully entertaining, but you can actually learn something.
Do you think that would be available out at the Carnegie for any of the writers in the audience who would like to see that book? Do you think that's available?
It may be. If it's not available at the Carnegie, I have 5 or 6 copies in my office, and anybody who'd like to borrow it can do so, because I'm sure Al would actually be embarrassed if anybody asked him for one. He'd say, "Oh, I don't know what I did with a copy." But believe me, it's always been my opinion that anybody who wanted to get into this business as a writer should spend a couple of months reading the work of Al Van Dyne before anybody ever let him pick up a pencil.
I would agree with that. I think Al took writing to another level, and he took creative writing, advertising writing to another level. I think all of us learned from him. I know he was a great mentor for me when I first came into the city, and still is. I still look back on some of his writing and realize that I've never quite attained his achievements in that area.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've always said that in a business where everybody's interest is keeping up with the Joneses, that he was Jones.
Absolutely. And I think that there are many, many, many people in the city who were influenced by him. I'm sure Ray Werner, some of the big names in the industry here, the writers in the industry here who were influenced by him.
Well,
would you say that's true?
Anybody who knew him and claimed that they were not influenced by him isn't telling the truth. You couldn't help it, because it was obvious as soon as you began to see the way he worked and the way he thought, that there was a great reservoir of knowledge there, and of talent, and that you would be wise to tap. But let me tell you one quick story. The first week that I was in this business, Al asked me to do some research for one of the Tangent series, and the subject was going to be the Great Wall of China, and they subsequently published one on the Great Wall of China. So I was, real excited, and I went down to the library, and I got all this information on the Great Wall of China, and I kind of organized it in a way that it would make sense for him to begin writing. And he said, "Boy, you've organized this pretty well." I said, why don't you try to write one of these?" Well, I was 22 years old, and I had no idea what he had just asked me to do. So I said, "Oh boy, all right, I'll go do that." I went to my typewriter and I wrote this Tangents piece on the Great Wall of China. And I gave it to him a couple of days or a week later, whatever it was, and he said, "Well," he said, "that's not bad." He said, "But I'll tell you what, you've done some really good things here." He said, "Let me have a whack at it." And I said, "Oh, sure, great." And I thought to myself, well, let's see what he does. I said, "Let's see what he does."